Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I want to talk to you about essential homeschool supplies. A lot of these are going to be pretty basic, but I'm going to tell you which ones you should get and where you should get them from, which brands are best, things like that. So if you're new to homeschooling, I think you'll find this really helpful. Let's start with art supplies. The first one is construction paper. You're going to want to buy bulk. I like to get mine from Amazon. I don't have a favorite brand, I just buy the cheapest one possible, but Crayola is always a good choice. Oil pastels. These are great for most art programs. The stuff I'm going to show you is kind of a general overview of art supplies that most homeschool art programs use. Oil pastels are fun because you can do a lot of combining colors in different ways than you could with crayons, and also they're kind of greasy, hence the name oil, and so you can do pictures with them and then paint watercolor over them, and then the watercolor won't go where these are painted, but you can paint around it by painting over the whole picture. It's called a resist. They're really fun. Watercolor paint. This is just a cheap set from, I think, Staples, but I really like Arteza ones. They have a big palette for kids. They're really nice. I'll link it below. I'll link all the stuff below to help you find it. Okay, markers. I always get washable markers because I have kids, and I'm sure you do too since you're watching this. And these are Jot brand. These are from the dollar store. These wash out really well. I've never had any problems with them staining or anything like that. However, I can normally only find the thick ones at the dollar store, so if you want the thinner ones, I like to get Crayola. Now, keep in mind this is the end of the year, so a lot of the supplies are used. So right now it's just a box with some random ones I found. They're thin, wash out really well, especially if you have a little almost 2-year-old that likes to sneak attack color on your pants. They're great for that. This has 100 colors in it. Crayola makes very good supplies. Washable acrylic paint. I ordered a big box of a different brand off Amazon, but sometimes you can find this at the dollar store. Glue sticks, I like Elmer's the best. These ones are disappearing purple, so it shows purple on the paper, and then as it dries it disappears, which is really nice. You can also get the Jot brand of glue sticks at the dollar store. However, I would caution against that. They are not very sticky, they dry out really fast, and they do not work very well at all. These work much better. Staples brand of glue sticks are also very good. Watercolor crayons are really fun. So the way these work is you just do your picture on paper, and then you get water on a paintbrush and go over it, and it turns into watercolor paint. So it's kind of like coloring with dry watercolor paint, but it feels like a crayon, and then you can blend it together with water on your picture. So these are really fun, and they're also used in a lot of different art programs. Now, speaking of watercolor, I also buy watercolor paper in bulk on Amazon. They are loose sheets, so it makes it a lot easier to grab them instead of having to tear them out carefully. I like them better than the Canson brand, and it's a lot cheaper to buy it in bulk. If you do drawing in your homeschool, pink erasers are nice. You can get these from Staples or the dollar store, and they're just fine. Sketch pads, these are nice to have for drawing. The paper in here is kind of thin, so if you have older kids, I would say late elementary and up, I would go with something higher quality, but my kids are mid-elementary and down, so these work just fine. Balloons, you probably weren't expecting this one. You will be surprised at the amount of science projects and experiments that call for balloons. I feel like 1 out of 3 science projects uses balloons, it seems like. Probably not that many, but it just seems like they use a lot. The dollar store balloons are really crappy. They do not blow up very big, and they're not very thick. These are Rubfac. They're really nice. They work really well. Sticky notes, I live and die by these. It's the only way I organize stuff usually, so they're very important. But they might not be for you. Coloring tabs, these are great for organizing, for planning purposes, and also if you have multiple students using the same book, then you could assign each child a color, and then as they're in different spots of the book, just move the tab down, and so you always know who is at which spot. That's what I like to use them for. Erasable pens, I discovered these this year, and I love them. These are amazing for planning, because I don't like pencil. It always smears or fades, and I prefer pen. So these come in so many colors, or you can just get packs of black or just blue. The only thing with these, though, is every once in a while they'll just kind of fade by themselves. They don't do that most of the time, and if they get hot, they'll completely disappear. However, you can put the paper in the freezer, and in a couple minutes the pens will come back and stay back. So I laminated some timeline cards, and I had written on the back of each picture, you know, what chapter it was and what book it was from, and then laminated them, and then all the pen disappeared. So then I just put in the freezer, came right back, and they're still there. These are wonderful. They erase by friction, so the erasers are kind of like a plastic nub. These are great. Best thing I've ever found for planning. Alright, a stapler. Amazon Basics, this has lasted me for 5 years so far. It works great. It almost never jams. The staplers from the dollar store are horrible. This is Staples glue. It works great, just like Elmer's. However, if you are doing any kind of experiments, you may want to just stick with Elmer's, because I think most experiments are made with the specific ingredients in there. So for example, our chemistry book this year, we needed to make slime, and they said to try and use Elmer's glue because the ingredients in there worked better for the slime recipe. So if you want to be able to make slime and stuff, you probably should stick with Elmer's. I don't know if it would work with this one, or you didn't try it, but just FYI. Dry erase whiteboards. I haven't tried these yet. We just got them, but they seem really nice. Come in a 6-pack. We like to use these for spelling or sometimes multiplication problems. We use these quite a bit. And to go with those, we have dry erase markers. I like getting these in bulk. These are U brands. So there's 2 of each color, and they are double-sided. So if one kid leaves the cap off, you still have the other side to use, and they are magnetic. So I love these. They're great. Notebooks. These are great for kids writing, or I like to use them for planning out the school year before a planner, but these are really great. Okay, this is an HDMI cord. These are great for connecting your TV to your computer. We don't have a newer TV. It's probably, oh goodness, 8-10 years old. So if you have something on the computer you want to show your kids, but you don't want them to fight about who can see what and they're too close to me, this will save your homeschool day. So get one of these. They're only like $12 on Amazon. Masking tape. Again, it's just an all-purpose thing to have around for science experiments or projects your kids want to do. Good to have. If your kids are learning time, a Judy clock is very helpful. They can move it around, and it has a clicky sound at the top. Also, the 5s are marked on the side. I'm not sure if you can see that. So the minutes and the hours, and then down here you can do PM or AM, and you can open these up, and it shows the hours and minutes move as it goes around. My friend gave me these. They're little discs with different times on them, and so you could just have your kids draw them out of the bag and then do it on the Judy clock to match it. That's really fun to do that. Math manipulatives. You should have probably at least 2 different kinds, but they can be very simple, like pom-poms from the dollar store, or counting bears. This bag has foam squares and counting bears. The reason you should have 2 different kinds is because if you have a child that struggles with math, you don't want them to think that math only applies using one thing. You want them to be able to conceptualize that math can apply to many different things. I hope that makes sense. Okay, this is a Paper Pro hole puncher. I really like this. Again, I've had this for, I don't know, 5-6 years. It has a lock on it, so you just push right here. Lock just keeps it down, and then it catches the little paper back here. You can empty them really easily, so this works really well. I've never had problems with it. And then you can just lock it, put it back in the box. Easy peasy. Alright, foam dice. These are really fun to have for math games or really any kind of game. You could do different exercises per number and then just have the kids throw it and then they do that exercise when they're rowdy, or just for a break throughout the day. You can make any kind of game with dice. So these are great. I got this year. It's a cube timer. This has been really fun. So if you want your child to spend 20 minutes reading, you just set it, turn it on, and then put that one up. Whatever one you want up is the time. So you just change it. So easy. You're going to need lots of scissors. We probably have 20-25 pairs in our house, but you can only find 1 or 2 at a time. I don't know where they've gone. I think the kids take them outside for stuff and then don't bring it back. But yeah, buy a bulk pack of these. They'll be glad you did. And here's some more art stuff. Okay, Crayola colored pencils. They are erasable and they come already sharpened. But again, end of the school year, so they're kind of used. Paintbrushes. These are another easily lost item. So I just like to get a cheap pack, like 20 or so off of Amazon. Okay, let's talk pencils. So this is an Amazon Basics pencil. This is a Jot from the dollar store. I can't remember if these come sharpened or not, but the Amazon ones do. Now the Jot ones, their eraser is really wiggly. I don't know if you can see that. It's very soft, and these will just break off, especially if it's like a hard erase. These pop off all the time. They are not worth the $1 that you spend on them. Amazon Basics, it's also wiggly, but this doesn't break off like those Jot ones do. And I've tried the Ticonderoga pencils as well. The only difference I can see besides the color is that their eraser is a little more firm and doesn't wiggle as much, but That's the only difference I can see, and they both erase really well. So they both come pre-sharpened as well. These ones are a much better price. You can buy a big box from Amazon and saves you a ton of time because they're already sharpened. So I wouldn't waste my money on the Ticonderoga pencils. I know a lot of homeschoolers say they're the best ones, but they're very similar to the Amazon ones. This is a really good laminator. I actually own 2 laminators. This is my favorite one though. It's a Scotch thermal laminator. It's faster than the other one I have. If you want to print your own curriculum and bind it, you should get one of these. It's a comb binder. They're really easy to use. You just put the paper in here. You take the handle one way, it punches a hole. You put the comb up here on this little stick things. You put the paper on it, and then you push the handle the other way, and it closes the comb over it. So they're really nice. They're cheaper than the spiral binding, so that's something to think about too. Speaking of printing, I don't know if you can see my printer back there. It's the messy part of my office. It's an Epson EcoTank ET-2850. I really love it. The only thing I wish was different was that it had an automatic feeder for the scanner. The next model above that one does, but this is what Costco had, and it works really well. I think it's stamped once, and I've printed probably like 10 reams worth of paper. I print a lot. So yeah, very impressed. And the ink lasts forever, and it's way cheaper than a cartridge. They're amazing. This is an X-Acto paper trimmer. It's self-sharpening, so every time you cut it, it sharpens up. And it's never gone dull. It works really well. I've had this again probably 5-6 years, and I've cut a lot with it. It just works really well. Velcro dots, I use these pretty frequently as well. These are actually the generic ones. I'm not sure what the brand is. The Velcro brand itself are really expensive. I think these are called hook and latch dots, something like that. I'll link it below. These are great if you want to do a calendar type thing, and then you can put one kind up on the calendar, the other side on all the little dates, stick them on and move them around. You can also use these for busy books for preschoolers, so these come in handy a lot. These are great for individual work, or they can play with these while you read to them. My kids like to do that. These are just pattern blocks made of wood, lots of different shapes, and so they all fit together perfectly, and you can make really cool designs and patterns. You can also use these for math things as well. Kinetic sand is a great one to use for keeping your kids busy. While you read aloud to them, they can just play with this quietly and listen better because their hands are doing something. Kiwi crates, these are awesome. My kids love these so much. You should definitely add them to your homeschool. They have a lot of different lines for different age kids. We've done the Tinker Crate, the Yummy Crate before, Kiwi Crate, and Koala Crate, and they're all just excellent. These are great for teaching your kids handicrafts like crocheting or knitting, and that keeps them busy while you read to them. My kids like to do things like make giant spider webs throughout the room, so you could have them do that as well while you read. I just bought these a couple weeks ago. I get the mini ones with the mini glue sticks, and I get giant boxes of popsicle sticks from Amazon, and the kids just like to sit and just glue them while I read to them. Right now they're into the sword making phase, but they like to make little houses or buildings for their stuffed animals, and they just will sit there for like an hour or two just gluing while I read to them, which is really nice. Okay, I think that's everything. Those are all really good things to have on hand. Of course, you don't need all of them, but I hope I helped you out a little bit with finding the right brands or things you may not have thought of. So I hope that was helpful. If you have a favorite homeschool item that I didn't mention here, please leave it down below so we can all get more ideas for our homeschools. All right, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.